Hey everybody, welcome to the Fantasy Players Club. I'm your host, Levi Valentine. Levi the Heartbreak Kid Valentine, I guess now, Trevin. At Levi_Valentine on Twitter. Joining me are my co-hosts, Brent Hud Hikes. Follow him at Brent Hikes, Heikes on Twitter. And Trevin Chucky Cremosta, whose tweets are too hot for your eyes. Trevin, I had to give you a nickname after you gave me one last week. I went with Chucky because Charles, for those maybe not in the know, is your middle name, and it's also the nickname of your favorite football coach.
I appreciate it. I actually think I put my name on here as Kobe Bryant tonight, but Chucky works too.
Kobe Bryant, very creative. The late Kobe. That's the late Kobe Bryant to you.
All right, that works.
Brent, whose nickname do you like the best?
Well, I think it works out really good with Trevin's nickname that his middle name is Charles. So Chucky is great with his favorite coach of all time. So I love it.
We can go. I'm good with Chucky tonight.
Not just tonight.
Not just tonight. Yeah.
Nah, it changes every week.
So, Brent had Hut since episode 1.
I've been Hut for like 54 weeks now.
That's his own fault for not getting off the boat. Can't pin me down.
Since you're giving out everybody else's, what do you call it, government name, legal name, on here all the time, we had to give out yours, I guess.
Yeah, what the hell? Everybody tracking me down.
It's also punishment because you ditched us for best ball on Sunday, and I crushed Brent in yet another draft. I don't know. He keeps coming back for more.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. It looked cool. What do you guys think?
It turned out pretty well.
Yeah, I had fun doing it.
What did we end up with, Brent? 4 or 5 of us from our group in that draft?
Including us.
You, me, Lacey,
6,
Sean, Sammy,
and Jesse.
Yeah.
We had half the. I mean, there was club members in half the contest. So
yeah, pretty solid. Maybe
Not
next
bad.
week we can do a little better. Are we doing another one Sunday, Brent?
I think we can.
All right.
I think
Maybe a little later this time might work better for me.
Yeah, let's do it a little bit later.
Chucky, you going to join us this week?
I'll try to. Now, as somebody that is going to look at it totally honestly and not just pick your own teams, who had the best draft looking at the teams now?
We talked about that a little bit on Sunday. I did like Brent's team that he ended up with.
I would have to say, out of all 12 teams, mine was the best, and then Levi's was second. So.
Oh, wow.
Levi did good. You got to give him some credit there.
Very humble of you, Brent. I even accidentally drafted Josh Jacobs, Trevin, so you should be happy.
That was no accident.
It was a big accident. I was pissed.
The worst pick of the draft was by my wife. Somehow, some way, she picked Sony Michel.
Oh.
That was awful. I mean, she picked him early, too. That was awful.
Did you not learn your lesson from sleeping on the couch on Sunday? You're trying to do it again tonight?
She's probably not listening tonight.
Did she have her own team, or is that on your team she picked it?
No, she had her own team.
Very nice.
Yeah.
She has the third best team, huh?
No. That Sony Michel pick really hurt her.
Do you just want to come out and say she has the worst team, Brent?
Yeah.
Or say that was your brother or your
It might be
girlfriend?
the worst. It might be the worst.
You could have just said it was the third best. It doesn't really matter.
Guess who got first pick in that draft though? What player? Give it a guess, Chucky.
Oh, who got picked first?
Yeah.
You're never gonna guess it.
Is it a superflex?
No.
And it's not tied
not
up
Christian
premium or anything either.
Not
It's
Christian
just-
McCaffrey?
No.
It's just
Not-
a regular PPR.
Oh, Clyde?
No, not Barkley, not McCaffrey, not Henry, not Delvin Cook. It was a decent pick. This person probably never would have got this player.
What, is it a receiver? Like Tyreek Hill or something?
Travis Kelce.
Really? Huh.
Yep.
Well, I don't
But,
know. Best ball, it does seem a little different. If you have a tight end scoring 30 points in best ball, it's probably going to win you a week, but
yeah.
I've never done it myself.
And if they really like Kelsey, I mean, it was Sean's girlfriend. She must really like him. So she wasn't going to get him with the last pick of the second round. So she really wanted him. She got him.
It's best
How'd
ball.
Sean's wife do in the draft?
Girlfriend.
Oh, they were both in it?
Yeah, they're both in it. Hopefully she's not watching.
The wife or the girlfriend?
Both.
Nice. Sounds like a good time. How many best ball leagues are you going to get in, Levi?
Probably just the ones we do if we do them every week for this. That's what I don't get about taking Kelsey first. Like, if you want to take Kelsey, just do another draft where you don't have the first pick.
True.
Take him middle or late first. But to each their own.
Watch him finish as like the fifth wide receiver, and then you'll be eating crow.
It probably will be. Shall we move on to the main event?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Do it. For tonight's main event, we're doing a little grade the trade. We got an NFL move and a Chucky move here tonight to grade. So let's start with the NFL move. Quintorris Lopez Jones Jr., also known as Julio Jones, was traded to the Titans this week. In exchange for Jones, the Titans will send a 2022 second-round draft pick and a 2023 fourth-round selection to the Falcons. And along with Jones, the Titans will receive a 2023 sixth-round pick. Fellas, what do you think about that price for Julio Jones?
For the Titans, you got to be excited about it. Looks like they're trying to win right now, and I think Julio has another good year or two left in him. And Derrick Henry's not going to be running like this forever, so they got to take a chance and try to win the Super Bowl now. I mean, you're the Titans fan. I want to hear from a Titans fan.
Oh, you're not a Dolphins fan anymore?
I guess I'll take a break from being a Dolphins fan to go back to my Titans now. I'll just be a bandwagon fan, since that's what you're implying.
No, you're just a fan of the smart moves now. I didn't know you're still a fan of a single team.
I like seeing teams make smart moves, not dumb moves. Well, that's why I could never be a Raiders fan.
I like it when my own teams do it.
What? You never get that, though. It's been
Well,
like 15 years.
I don't like it when other teams do it. Go ahead, though. I'm done holding you up. As a Titans fan, what'd you think?
I think Brent kind of hit on it a little bit. I think it is fun to see him go all in or kind of push their chips in for trying to win a Super Bowl now. Like you mentioned, Brent, Derrick Henry isn't going to keep performing at this level forever. He is 27 this year. Julio Jones hopefully will have another good year or two, but he's not a long-term answer for this team. He is 32 now, which is crazy, and it feels like he's been around forever, but still young enough to have another good season or two. Tannehill, I think, is early 30s as well, so he's got a couple of years left. So they're trying to pry that window open and find a way to get past the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens in this conference and break through for one Super Bowl and try to win it. I don't know if this is going to be enough to get them there. It's really going to depend a lot on their defense and specifically their ability to get pressure on the quarterback, which this does nothing to address. But for the price, I mean, if future 2022 second and 2023 fourth, I mean, you can't beat getting a receiver with Julio's upside like that, even if it is only for a year or two. The receiver you're going to get in the second next year, assuming they would have taken a receiver with that pick, is, just a lottery ticket kind of. I mean, you think they have a good chance, but you're hoping, best case scenario, that maybe they do what Julio might do this year. So I like the price a lot. I like it from the team perspective of trying to win something, going all in, but I think it is one of those moves where, in a year or two, it is going to be the end of the window, and they're going to have to figure out what that next way they're going to rebuild this team around A.J. Brown and try to move forward is going to look like. But for now, they have another year or two to try to push through here. I think Julio's salary was $15 million, which they cleared up space for by restructuring Tannehill's deal and converting some stuff to a bonus. I saw, I think, today. So from a salary cap perspective, it really wasn't a big hit in the end. So yeah, I like it. I'm excited to see him this year. I think they could have a really good offense.
You want to hear some defensive stats for the Titans?
No, it's bad.
They had basically tied for the worst in pass rush pressure last year, tied with the Lions. They allowed the second most passing touchdowns behind the Lions. And they did sign Bud Dupree, who was just coming off that torn ACL. So it doesn't help much on the defense, but I like the move too. They're going for it. They need another pass catcher. It's hard to find a better second option than Julio Jones. So it is cool to see him do that.
Yeah. And to your point, Trevin, like, you have to be able to score to keep up with the Chiefs, and you have to have a more diverse offense than what they've had in the past, where they've just focused so heavily on the run game. And I think that this move could allow them to do that. To your point about the defense, they did select Caleb Farley, a corner out of Virginia Tech, with their first-round pick, 22nd
Who's
overall.
coming off a back injury?
That's
why I kind of fell in the draft. I think it's a back.
I know
now the 2020 season, so I
he
don't.
sat out. So,
but they tried to address that at least a little bit with that first-round pick, and they had some other defensive picks in the draft in the third round. So who knows if those third-rounders are paying out, but at least hopefully Farley can help them a little bit this year. Their defense is not the strong point, and that's especially even more true after this move to get Julio. But you're going to have to be able to score points if you're going to beat the Chiefs, and this, I think, helps a little bit with that at least.
Yeah, and I like it too when teams have a strength and then they just try to make that strength better instead of wasting money on something that's not actually going to help one of your weaknesses. It's just throwing money at an issue without fixing it. This is something that it's going to help their offense. There's no doubt about that. And they put their put chips in the middle of the table, like you're saying, when they're going for it.
Yeah, if Julio can get on the field, he did only play 9 games last year with the hamstring strain. So cross your fingers that at age 32, he is able to stay healthy for the whole year.
And he does. I mean, he does seem a little injury prone, but he plays through it a lot. If you take away last year, he missed 4 games from 2014 to 2019. So, yes, he does get hurt, but he'll play through it. Last year he played about half the year, but
yeah, I had that exact same thought, Brett, and I went and looked it up and saw the same thing. Like it does seem like he always has something nagging him, but he doesn't really miss games, and he's always productive. So last year was kind of hopefully the outlier, and hopefully this year he'll be able to stay on the field.
Yeah.
So can we talk about Julio Jones's career so far?
Yeah, you got a fun stat. Hit us.
So Julio Jones, sorry, I forgot what stat I wrote down here. Julio Jones averages the most yards per game in NFL history, and it's really not even close at just 95.5 yards per game since he came in, 135 games played. Number 2 is Jim Brim, who I don't even know what year he was, but he played 3 games and had 94 yards per game. Justin Jefferson's actually number 3 right now at 87.5. Calvin Johnson is the next one who played 135 games. They played the same amount of games, him and Julio, and he had 86 yards per game. The other person over 100 here is Antonio Brown, who is at 84.5. So, I mean, he's leading the field by 10 yards per game for his career for people who have played over 100, which is pretty crazy. So we think of his last year as a down year. He still averaged 85.7 yards per game, which would put him first all-time still if that was his whole career for receiving yards per game.
Wow.
So even a down year there where he wasn't really the number one option anymore, Calvin Ridley was, you could probably say, was number one option. He still averaged the most yards per game of all time if it's just that 1 year for his career.
Yeah. I'm going to be really interested to see if the Titans try to use him more in the red zone than the Falcons ever seem to be able to successfully do. It's crazy when you look at his stats. He's had all of these years over 1,000 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of them. And he's only hit double-digit touchdowns once. And that was in his second year when he had 10, which just crazy that he's never been able to pile up the touchdowns for whatever reason. And I think maybe the Titans will be able to make the most out of that skill set that he has. You think, as a 6 as a 6'3", 220-pound receiver with his type of ability, he would be an incredible red zone weapon. But the Falcons just never were able to find much success using him that way.
And then some guys just aren't the touchdown guys, I guess. But if you got A.J. Brown on their side, who does find the end zone a lot, he doesn't really. It's not going to be up to Julio to produce the touchdowns for him.
Yep. Trevin, I had one other stat for you.
Yeah.
Julio Jones, all-time receiving yards list, number 20 with that age 32. The highest other active player is Larry Fitzgerald, of course, at number 2, but Julio's second highest, just ahead of Irving Fryer, which I didn't realize he was that high, which is pretty crazy, and just behind Jason Witten, who's at 19th.
Wow.
So, pretty interesting company there.
Dang.
Go ahead, Brent.
I was just going to kind of sum it up. I'm a fan of this trade. Falcons fans, I wonder what they think, but I think if you're a Falcons fan, you kind of understood that it's time for him to go. They got Kyle Pitts. He's the future now, and it's not like they expected to win Super Bowls. They're playing for the future, and they got a second rounder, which could help them out, and they also got a fourth rounder. So, helped out with cap room and everything. So I think Falcon fans should be happy about it too. They just probably don't want to see Julio go off and have a good 3 or 4 years. That's what they probably don't want to see.
I don't know if you guys have been hearing these stories come out about Julio, just how big of a locker room presence he is, and always has been his career. He's, by some accounts, number 1 ranked high school prospect out of anybody coming out to go to Alabama. And they've all said once he came in, he made an immediate difference. He's probably the most talented guy there. And he kind of started the Alabama run. And everywhere he's gone, people have listened to him. So I guess my point is it does suck that they've got Kyle Pitts that won't get to spend a year with such a professional like that. And I think that's what they'd probably be most down about.
True.
That's what I don't really understand about what the Falcons are doing. Like, you have Matt Ryan, who's 35 or 36. You have Julio Jones, who's 32. And then now you have Calvin Ridley, who I think is 25-ish.
He's a little bit older. I think 27 or 28.
Can't be.
His age always surprised me.
Yeah, he came in old. He's 26.
26.
So I don't know. Are they? I don't know. Why are you taking Kyle Pitts 4th overall if it's not you're not a contender? So I feel like if you're trying to contend, you should have taken somebody that'll actually help you do that. And I don't think Kyle Pitts really helps you do that this year because their offense is not the problem. And then you have that pick, but you're getting rid of Julio, and then you still have Matt Ryan. And you could have taken a quarterback there if you're convinced that you're not contending and you're ready to move on. Why not just take a quarterback at 4 and get ready to move on from Matt Ryan? I guess I just don't understand the Pitts pick and what they're trying to do here exactly, unless they just think he's such a generational talent that he's going to be there for the long haul. And
I think that's the only way you can defend it. Is you just say this guy's so high up on our board, we didn't have a choice.
And I don't think we can rule out that they could trade Matt Ryan in the middle of the year too. I mean, we talked about that in the middle of last year. Talked about Matt Ryan possibly getting traded to the 49ers because Garoppolo got hurt. There's going to be quarterbacks that are going to get hurt on decent teams, and those are the types of teams that might go after a Matt Ryan in a trade. So
if that's your plan, why not just take Fields? That's what I don't know. I don't get it.
A lot of stories have come out too that it was a salary cap deal that they don't even have enough money available to sign Kyle Pitts, who's coming in on a rookie deal. Yeah. But man, we've seen so many teams in that same situation just figure it out as they could restructure Matt Ryan, restructure Julio. So I just don't really buy that excuse. I know Julio's making a bunch of money, but every other team has been able to do this before. There's never been one that had to trade a guy really to sign their rookie picks.
I guess the only thing I can think of too is you really do think Kyle Pitts is that good, and you're not a huge your evaluation of Justin Fields. You didn't think he was that great, but
yeah,
just kind of I don't know. On the surface, it just seems kind of weird what they're trying to do here. And like by the time they have their quarterback, Calvin Ridley could be 28, 29, 30, like kind of at the end of his window. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to watch that team and kind of how they try to go through this rebuild over the next couple of years. And if they trade Matt Ryan in the middle of the year, then I guess that could help a little bit, but we'll see.
And also, just Julio's their best player of the entire franchise history. I mean, you can't figure it out how to keep him around.
Yeah. So grade the trade, Trevin.
I'd like it for the Titans. I think we've been pretty clear about that. So they didn't, if you're the Titans there, give up a second and a fourth, get back a sixth, right?
Yep.
It's a big salary bringing on, but you got to take that deal every day.
So your grade is?
A for the Titans. I mean, of course, if they could have figured out a way to have somebody equally good as Julio come into their defense, that'd be where they want to shore up that weakness. But that's not out there, and they had the ability to get Julio. So, A for the Titans.
Play him on defense.
Yeah, maybe you can play both sides. I don't know. I don't like it for the Falcons. It would have been worth it just to keep him around and teach Kyle Pitts the ropes. I think there's a lot of – I mean, listen, the other thing is A.J. Brown's talking about Julio being his idol, and he's watched all this game film of Julio growing up, and it's what it's meant to him to watch him from afar. You think that guy can't help your generational talent wide receiver / tight end coming in. So it's an F for me for the Falcons. I don't like it at all.
I don't know about an F. I definitely give an A to the Titans because they're trying to win now. The Titans didn't have a choice. I mean, Julio's done a lot for Atlanta and Atlanta Falcons. He wanted to leave. I mean, I don't know if he would have held out and just not played. I kind of respect the Falcons for giving Julio a shot with another team. And they got something for him before he misses a year off of injury or something. I mean, he's on the downhill of his career. But I feel like they got something pretty good for him. Some people were talking about maybe a first, but they got a second and a fourth, which is pretty close to a first round pick. But I'll give the Falcons a B and the Titans an A.
Second and a fourth is not that close to a first. In my book.
It's close. It's close.
Especially when you consider that second's probably going to be mid to late at best.
All right.
Based on the Titans' track record the past couple of years. But
I mean, if you go back and compare late first and late seconds, I mean, look at their production over the years. I mean, yeah, the franchise gets who they want, but I mean, you still see some late second guys becoming superstars. I mean, yes, if it's like a wide receiver or a running back or something. But if you're looking at linemen or defensive linemen, defensive ends, you can get some good value in the late second.
Isn't the Jimmy Johnson trade chart?
That's what I was trying to find right now. What's it say?
While you look that up, I'll go talk about something else. A little bit more on this. I'd probably agree with an A for the Titans. Obviously, I'm biased. And I'd say a C for the Falcons. I just think they could have got better value if they'd made this move either last year or, like right around the deadline. And
before Julio Jones went out to the public and said this stuff. I mean, they've known about it for a while.
That and before, like, he started missing games. So he played 8 of the first 9 weeks. He only missed week 5. And I don't know if that was their bye week or if that was just him missing a game. So they could have traded him while he was healthy last year and probably gotten a lot more in return. And maybe it worked out better. But hindsight's 2020. So I'll be a little nicer than you, Trevin. Trevin, did you find the trade chart?
Yeah, so we'll just say the 54th overall pick, which would put you just right at the between the middle and the end of the second round. Same place.
22nd pick in the second round.
Yeah, so same place on the fourth round would be 360 plus 58. So that's what, 411, 412, which would put us at it's equivalent to
58, you said?
Yeah, 360 and 58.
Yeah, so 418.
So 418 would put us at the 48th overall pick.
the 16th pick in the second round.
Yeah. So if you put those two together.
First round picks are just really valuable. I think it's kind of like it's not a linear decline. It's more of a steeper decline, I think, after the first, but smooths out. But that's not that's not the point of this conversation, Brent, to your point. So, Trevin, you had another interesting question related to this before we actually talk about the fantasy implications.
Yeah, so this got me thinking, who, for the best combo for two receivers and a running back of all time, this has got to rank up there. I know Julio is kind of at the end of his career, but A.J. Brown's one of the best receivers in the NFL right now. Plus, you got Henry, who's still in his prime, I'd say. So what do you guys think for who would make a better combo than that in the history of the NFL? I mean, not fantasy-wise. Some three players that were actually on the same team.
Brent, I'll let you go first on this one.
When I saw this question, it really got me thinking. At first, I'm like, no, there can't be. And then I had to think about it for a while. And yes, Julio is not the same Julio as he was a couple years ago. A.J. Brown, he's good. I'll give him that. And he's going to be good. But he's still pretty young, and he's still pretty early in the career. Derrick Henry is a really good running back. I'll give him that. So I thought long and hard, and the only trio that I can think of that's probably better is Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, and Isaac Bruce back about 20 years ago.
That was on my short list too.
Yep, mine too.
I'm very interested to hear some of your other trios. I mean, because I thought long and hard about it. I thought about Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, and Edgerrin James. I didn't think Edgerrin James was good enough to get them over the hump of Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Julio. But I want to hear your other guys on your list.
Sure. I really only have one other one on my list, and it's Edgerrin James, but with the Colts. Edgerrin James, Reggie Wayne, and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I thought of that one too. I just thought that Bolden and Fitzgerald, they were pretty good. I mean, yes, I love Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. But
fun fact, two of those guys were on the same Miami Hurricane team.
Yeah.
Quite a team they had there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other? Yeah, go ahead, Brent.
I was going to say Kurt Warner was the quarterback of that Cardinals team and that Rams team that I mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Levi, who do you got?
So before I list my other ones, just on the greatest show on turf teams, I thought it was kind of interesting. You look at 99, you had the year Marshall Faulk went over 1,000 rushing and receiving. So that was pretty good. And then just look at the numbers from 2000, 2001 for Holt and Bruce. That's pretty crazy. 2000, Torrey Holt led the team with 1,635 receiving yards. Isaac Bruce had 1,471. And Marshall Faulk had 830 in addition to 1,359 rushing yards. So huge years for all those guys in 2000. And then the next year, Holt and Bruce were at 1,363 and 1,106, and Faulk had 765. So a little down from 2000, but still just crazy numbers. The other ones I kind of...
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to look up the Colts stats while you're talking. What year should I look up for the Colts? 2005? I'll start looking while you're talking.
All right.
I'd say 5 or 6 or 7 around there.
The other one that I don't think it's quite there, but I think it's worth mentioning maybe, is the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. So
yeah, good call.
This team set the NFL record for points during the season that year. They had 556 points, and Randy Moss set an NFL record by catching 17 touchdown passes, the most ever by a rookie. You look at their stats that year, Randy Moss had 1,300 yards. Chris Carter went just over 1,000. And then you had Robert Smith at running back, who wasn't obviously on Derrick Henry's level, but he was a good back, had a few good years there with Minnesota. So I thought that was a pretty fun one. Just two Hall of Famers at receiver. And that year when you're looking at it, like I mentioned, Randy Moss was a rookie. Chris Carter was 33. So kind of similar to Julio at this point in his career. Maybe we'll see how he does as far as production compared to the 1,000 yards that Carter put up. The other one I don't think is quite there, but it was kind of I just, kind of was thinking back to my childhood and teams that had really good trios, and obviously those Vikings and Rams teams were right up there. The other one that was kind of interesting, but not nearly as good as the others I mentioned, was the 98 Broncos did have Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey, who both went over 1,000 yards, and then Terrell Davis was in the backfield, 26. He had over 2,000 yards rushing that season. So that was a pretty good one, too.
Yeah.
It's probably a little bit before our times, but Cowboys would probably have to be up there with their mid-90s teams.
I looked at them, but they didn't have much for a second wide receiver.
Second receiver, yeah.
Elvin Harper, he only had like 30-some catches, so I couldn't include them because of that. But Irvin and Emmitt Smith are studs.
So I've got the 04 Colts. Edgerrin James did have 1,500 yards rushing and 483 yards receiving. Marvin Harrison had 1,100 yards receiving, 86 catches. Reggie Wayne had 1,200 yards, 77 catches. They actually had a third receiver go over 1,000 yards. Brandon Stokely had over 1,000 yards and 68 catches.
Jeez.
And they had pretty similar stats in the next year between James, Harrison, and Reggie Wayne.
Wow.
Some good trios out there, but this one could be really good. I'm excited to watch them.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the fantasy implications here?
Let's do it. It's a fantasy podcast, right?
All right. Does this affect Julio's value at all for you guys?
I think he's in a pretty similar spot, don't you think? As far as the Titans will probably be playing from behind a little. He's probably not going to be the 1A, maybe the 1B for between Calvin Ridley and A.J. Brown. I think he's going to get a similar amount of targets. What are you looking at me like I'm way off on this one? We're talking about Julio, right?
Yeah, I thought you gave a nice little shot to the Titans. You said they'll be playing from behind a little.
That's what I was.
I didn't mean to say it like that. I meant their defense is going to be bad. I shouldn't have said playing from behind, but they're probably going to have to keep up on their scoring. Is a better way to phrase it.
Sounds better.
So I think it's a pretty similar for Julio.
I say it's pretty similar. Maybe a notch or two less than what he was expected at Atlanta.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point about the defense, Trevin. Originally, I was thinking it was pretty similar too, because Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Titans last year, is now the head coach in Atlanta. So although they have been extremely pass-heavy historically, I don't know that I would expect that to continue to the same degree going forward as he moves there. I think the thing that's kind of counteracting that some is how bad they are. They're 4-12 last year, and now foresee that getting any better this year. So I think he probably would have had a little more volume in Atlanta, but like you mentioned, with the defense, that could balance out a little bit. And I think also, maybe they pass it a little more now with Julio here, as opposed to just having Derrick Henry and then A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. So it'll be interesting to see. I think not a huge change for me, certainly, on Julio. What about any of the other Titans players? A.J. Brown, Henry, Tannehill, or Reynolds?
A.J. Brown's kind of the best player available here. I mean, I shouldn't say that about Henry, but A.J. Brown might be the most affected. I think he was in line to get a gigantic target share this year. They might not have been the most efficient ones because he didn't have he'd be getting a lot of double teams and a lot of the one best cornerbacks all over him. And it wasn't going to be efficient, like I said, but I think he was in line to get gigantic target number. And so now he'll probably be more efficient. He's probably going to get better throws his way, but his target's not going to be as high as what it was going to be, I don't think.
That's probably true. Targets might go down a little bit, but I think his touchdowns, he scored 11 touchdowns last year, and I think he can get more than that. So I think his value might jump up a little bit in my eyes, having Julio on the other side compared to Josh Reynolds. So I like A.J. Brown. Not a lot more now that Julio's there, but I mean, yeah, he might not get 100 catches like some people were thinking, but he can still get 90, 92 catches, but maybe get 15 touchdowns out of the year. So I like it. I like it for AJ.
15's a lot.
I said maybe. It's not like I'm saying like he's getting 15. I guarantee it. Write it down. Mark it down on your calendars.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the 11 he had last year, and that was number 5 among receivers. So, and this is still a relatively low volume passing offense. They were, they were number 30 in team pass plays per game last year, and AJ Brown was number 30 in targets, despite having the number 8 target share among receivers. So I think hopefully they pass a little more. And I think to your point, Trevin, even if his volume isn't exactly where we thought it was going to be as far as the number of targets he's getting, I think that could be a little higher quality, and that could kind of balance out. So again, for me, for AJ Brown, there's not a huge impact. As far as the other Titans weapons, if anything, I think it's kind of a wash for Derrick Henry, because even if this does cause him to pass a little more, he's going to have probably more red zone opportunities. So he's going to potentially have more touchdowns as well, and teams aren't going to be able to stack the box maybe as much as they have in the past. I think it's really good for Tannehill. I think having Julio Jones as your number 2 instead of Josh Reynolds is going to help him a lot. And if it encourages the play callers to pass more as opposed to run and make smarter play calling decisions, that's even better for Tannehill. Obviously, it hurts Reynolds. I think it also hurts Matt Ryan a little bit. I think he's a loser here. Julio and Calvin Ridley were 2 great targets. We think Kyle Pitts is going to be really good, but tight ends as a rookie, as we've talked about previously on the show, are kind of a wild card. It would be shocking to me, I guess, if he had anywhere close to the type of production that they've gotten from Julio in recent years. But we'll see.
So yeah, you talked about how they threw for the 30th most in the league, I believe you said.
I think that's what he had, yeah.
So the one thing we haven't really talked about is the people who have left the Titans last year. None of them are blue chippers, but between Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis, and Adam Humphries, that was 192 missing targets from last season. So even if they pass at the lowest rate they did last year, there's still a lot of what's the word that everybody likes to say, vacated targets for this one. So they have to be thrown to somebody, and Julio's there now.
I got to comment on that, or else I'll be getting heat in the happy hour chat. But yeah, I wouldn't say like all those targets are just going to get reassigned, but Julio's.
No, that's what we're saying here on the Fantasy Players Club.
Oh, okay. You could say that. I'm not standing up.
No, that's podcast. Everybody agrees.
Julio's going to earn plenty of his own targets, and those Josh Reynolds may get a few as well.
First girl gets some too.
Yeah. Kind of a hit for him too, I think, to your point, Brent. He was looking at a bigger opportunity here, and with Julio there, I don't think he's going to earn as many targets as he might have otherwise.
Yeah.
And then I almost went for Reynolds on that startup we did just because I didn't think he's super talented, but he was kind of in line to be the number 2 receiver. Glad I didn't throw a little cash his way.
Yeah, I think he could still do decent, but it'll probably be more similar to what he was doing with the Rams than having an upgrade. Anything else on this one, fellows?
Nope, we graded the trade.
Nope.
All right, Titans to the Super Bowl. You heard it here first. Yeah. Oh, we do have a listener question here. Kelly Bassnett wants to know, what does a guy who drafted both A.J. Brown and Julio Jones before the trade do? Is there enough production to go around in Tennessee?
Oh,
that's tough.
Good question. Good question.
It's hard because we just said that we still both like both guys, but man, if they're both on your team, you kind of need production out of both of them every week. I don't know. I'll let you go first, Titans fan.
I think that, like I said, it doesn't change my expectations for either of them that much. And so I think that A.J. Brown is probably going to be wide receiver 1, and I think Julio, I would maybe expect more wide receiver 2 numbers this year personally. So I think they're both viable starters, and I wouldn't be, panicking or scrambling trying to move either one. But if you got an opportunity where you liked the deal from some other angle, then I wouldn't, be totally against moving one either.
I mean, I'm kind of with Levi, but I kind of throw out a few offers see what people think about Julio now, and maybe you get a really good deal, and I mean, get rid of Julio that way. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with having both of them on your team.
Yeah, never hurts to put out feelers, but I think you might
Yeah.
get more for Julio in season too if you wait for a big game and then try to move him. Just because of the age at this point in the offseason, people are more focused on that than they are looking at how that trade could help their team push for a championship in season.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but I wouldn't be shopping A.J. Brown for any reason, but I'd maybe send out some feelers for Julio and see if there's anybody that's hot on him now switching to the new team. But worst case scenario, they're both on your team, and I expect them to both have good years this year.
Yeah, I don't think anything's on fire here that you got to go make a move now.
Yeah.
Speaking of trades, Trevin, you had one this week. You want us to grade it for you?
Yes. So I won't say any narrative of it first. I just want your guys' thoughts without me influencing you here. So I gave up Nuke, Chase Edmonds, and a 206, and I received Russell Wilson, the 204 and 304 in a Dynasty League, Superflex PPR.
And I'll give a little bit more. I'll give a little bit more background. Your quarterbacks were not the greatest. Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, right?
And Teddy Bridgewater. Yep.
Brent, you're being too kind for how mean you just really roast him. Your quarterbacks were trash, Trevin.
Yeah.
Go on. I wasn't going to give any narrative for it. I thought you're just grading it in a vacuum here.
But they are 3 starters this year. Next year, maybe not. Maybe
3
not.
starters? Do you think Jones, Darnold, and Bridgewater all start?
I think 2 for sure. Bridgewater is the one that's
Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, and Teddy Bridgewater.
I think Bridgewater is the questionable one, but we did hear this week that Locke had I think it was today, Locke had a terrible, or maybe yesterday, Locke had a terrible day of practice, so
yeah,
maybe Teddy will be moving in there.
I mean, that's those are the 3 guys I expect to be starting on their teams. So
I do too.
Wow.
I don't think the Broncos would have brought Bridgewater in if he wasn't going to be the starter. Locke's been so bad.
I think it's kind of the same situation though as the Bears had last year with Trubisky and Foles, where you kind of have to start Locke the same way you had to start Trubisky, because if you start the other guy, you can't bring in Locke after you bench him and start Bridgewater, but you can always switch to Bridgewater if it doesn't work out with Locke, and that's kind of.
I think it's a little different there, where the Bears, Trubisky was definitely holding them back, but they won a lot of games with Trubisky. Broncos have been not winning games, and Locke's been bad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's the way I think
you
it
guys
works out, but I
still haven't given my. You're talking about Bridgewater too much here.
Okay, what were we talking about here?
Yeah.
All right. I'll go first. Yes, you helped out your quarterback situation quite a bit, so you don't have to worry about rolling with those 3 guys for the next several years. But the draft picks, they're a wash. I'm going to throw them out. You jumped up 2 spots. So you gained a 3rd rounder. So it helped a little bit with you jumped up 2 spots, but that third rounder might be worthless. Getting rid of Chase Edmonds, I'm not too worried about that. But DeAndre Hopkins, man, he's a stud. Fantasy football, if we're talking fantasy football, the last 4 years, Hopkins had 4 unbelievable years, and his 2016 year wasn't great, but he still had 78 catches, 954 yards. But 2017, he had 13 touchdowns. 2018, he had 13 touchdowns with basically Tom Savage and TJ Yates. The last 3 years that he's had with Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray, well over 100 yards. In 2018, he had 1,572 yards receiving, 11 touchdowns. Kyler Murray is his quarterback now. Yes, he might take a few goal line rushes instead of them lobbing it up to Hopkins. So he might not ever get 13 touchdowns ever again. But if you have a receiver that's going to get like 110, 115 receptions in a year, that's pretty amazing. And he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. Yes, he's getting close to 30, but he's not 30 yet. I think Hopkins has a good 5 years at least. He's missed 2 games in his 8-year career, so it's not like injuries are a problem. And he rarely I don't see him on the injury report very often either. So you can't compare him to Julio and he's playing through injuries. He doesn't get injured. So I love Hopkins. I like him quite a bit. So I feel like you might have lost this trade because of that.
So grade it, Brent.
Grade it. You get yourself a C+.
Ooh.
Ooh, ouch.
And the other person gets a...
It sucks that he lost Russell Wilson. I never did check out his quarterbacks.
He has Cousins and Stafford.
I'll give him a B. A B. So,
sounds like you should have traded Nuke to Brent. After
yeah,
that.
here's the other thing. I tried. He didn't want Nuke. So, yeah. But anyway, go ahead, Levi. For all that stuff he's saying about how much he loves Nuke, he didn't love him that much.
I'm just saying facts, man.
I think it's a fair deal. And I like it for you, Trevin, and from this regard. You now have a locked-in quarterback 1, and you have those other 3 where you can just hope that one's good enough to start on a week-to-week basis and keep you competitive. The rest of your team is really good, and I think you're appropriately going for it now. Your championship window is, I think, pretty open. You have Eckler and Josh Jacobs at running back, so pretty good there. And then you have A.J. Brown, Deontay Johnson, and Adam Thielen probably as your top 3 receivers, with Antonio Brown potentially there to work in as well. And then at tight end, you have Hunter Henry, Hayden Hurst, and Cole Kmet. So you have, a viable tight end 1 between those 3 on a week-to-week basis. And then I think it's also worth noting that you have the 6th pick in the draft. You didn't have to give up your first round pick here. So you're looking at, this is Superflex League. So we're assuming probably Lawrence, Lance, and Fields all go before your pick. And then you're looking at one of probably Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, or a receiver if that's the route you choose to go. Like, you're going to get one of those top blue chip players that I think are in that top tier, top 6, 7, 8 guys there. So when you add that into your starting lineup or as a depth piece, either running back or receiver, or if you wanted to, you could go quarterback if you want to try to shore that up and not have to worry about that for the foreseeable future after finally being able to lock down decent quarterback. That would be an option too. Or you could trade it. If you want to get someone who is maybe, acquirable for that with that pick, and that would help you kind of put all your chips in, then I think you can go for it now. But I think that you're like you've identified. Like, I think what I think you were thinking is, you have Thielen still, who probably have one more decent year, and then you're kind of looking at Eckler and Jacobs probably have another year or 2 maybe that they might be able to fill in for you. And with that pick, there's a path there to, I think, winning it this year. And I think it was a good move on your part, and I think it fits your build of your roster pretty well. So I'll give you both a B or a B+. I think it's a good deal for both sides.
Hey, thanks. So I got to tell you guys, making a big dynasty move in the offseason, there's nothing better. I've been absolutely buzzing off this for a week now, because I've been trying like hell since the season ended to get a quarterback. Because we've talked about him, but Teddy Bridgewater finished 17th last year for quarterbacks in the week 1 through 16. Daniel Jones finished 24th, and then Sam Darnold finished 31st. So my skill players, like we kind of talked about, were very good last year, but I'm starting 30 to 40 points behind every week because my quarterbacks were so bad. And I didn't want to give up my first. I don't want to give up A.J. Brown. So I've been just working my way through the top dynasty quarterbacks in our league, seeing if any of them are available. Worked through Dak Prescott. I put some feelers out for Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. I couldn't get any of them to bite on much without giving up my first or A.J. Brown. So got to Russell Wilson. It was a guy that has 3 decent quarterbacks, kind of upper end quarterbacks. So he was willing to make some moves with me. Honestly, I think if you look at just the trade in a vacuum, he might have won it. I'm pretty high on Edmonds. I think he's a pretty good flex guy to have week to week, who's going to, especially in a PPR. But I was thrilled that he played some ball with me and I was able to get Wilson. The part that I could barely sleep at night thinking about going into this rookie draft for 106, where it didn't really matter what happened. I was going to have to take Zach Wilson, and God forbid somebody took him above me. I was going to have to take Mac Jones, because with this quarterback room I got, if I didn't have somebody hit quick, it was time to sell basically all the rest of my pieces, because I wasn't going to be in contention for anything with these 3 quarterbacks I currently had. So even if Jamar Chase fell, if Najee Harris fell at 106, I was going to have to take Zach Wilson, really, no matter what, the way I saw it. Somebody might have been hot and heavy to get up there and get Najee Harris at 106, but I couldn't really give up that spot if I drop back too far and I miss out on Mac Jones and Wilson. If those guys even don't hit for the next 2 years, then I'm looking at Thielen's done, Nuke's another year or 2 older. So my window would have been closed pretty quick if I wasn't able to get a quarterback now and get some pieces around him quick, was my thinking on it. So it feels awesome. I've been buzzing out about it for a week, like I said. So it's fun.
I'm glad you got that, because I know this is your first full off season in Dynasty, and it's a great feeling. You don't get that in redraft, like I told you. I think when the steal went through, and
I was so desperate, guys. I would have given up. This guy didn't know it, but I would have given up a lot more to get Wilson. And so
I wouldn't sweat giving up Edmonds at all. I think whoever you take at 106 is going to be able to fill in your flex spot just as easily, and probably have Edmonds like production as a floor with upside for a lot more.
Sure. I'm just my running backs are a little weaker now, and if I do, Eckler was out all last year, where Edmonds was playing almost every week for me. So if that happens again this year, I'm going to be relying on whoever that 106 is to fill in a lot.
But look, 3 of those quarterbacks are going to be gone, and then you're looking at one of Chase, Harris, or Etienne. So you're getting one of those 3 probably if you don't go quarterback, and that's a great place to be.
Trevin,
excited about it.
Or Pitts.
Yep.
Trevin, I like your explanation. You talked me into a B.
See, that's why I didn't talk first. I wanted you to grade it before I gave my little narrative to it.
With you getting Chase or Harris or Etienne at number 6, that does help out with your loss with Hopkins. And this does fix your quarterback situation.
And hopefully, like you said before, that one of those guys, at least I can depend on one of them every week to fill in. And I've got Russell Wilson going every week.
The thing is, you might have a quarterback situation again next year, though.
Yeah, so. I don't like the noise Russell Wilson makes about leaving, but I mean, I wasn't even looking forward to this stupid draft. Like I've said it already, that I was just like, oh well, guess I'll take Wilson no matter what happens. It doesn't. I mean, it was not looking good.
As someone with the 9th pick and who hates Zach Wilson, feel free to continue to take Wilson.
No, you might stick around for you now.
All right. Nice trade.
Nope, but it was fun. I recommend doing a big dynasty trade to anybody out there listening, because that was fun.
Yeah, I know you've been working on it for months, so congrats.
And by the way, would you offer Burrow? I have Burrow. Did you offer?
Yeah, I was offering Nuke for Burrow, and I wanted some back and forth with you, but you weren't giving me nothing, so I just it's like, I guess I'll move on.
Was that last year?
No, it was this off season.
I'm just looking at my. Okay, maybe.
I think I texted you and you said no or something. I don't know if it was a trade offer, but you shut me down quick. I was like, all right, I'll move on, I guess.
Okay, it might have been a text then.
With Brent's love for Burrow, it would have cost you an arm and a leg. So.
Yeah, I do like Burrow.
Sounds like you like Nuke. I'll have to have that guy that just traded to give you a text.
Oh, man. Shall we move on to our question of the week? Trevin, you came up with this one?
Yeah, so this is something I was thinking about. I've alluded to mine already, so it's not going to be a big surprise. But do you guys, in any of your dynasty or any league that's not a 1-year league, do you have any player that you just like having on your team that it would make it take heaven and earth to get him away from you because it's just fun that guy's on your team? Not really as a kind of as a value, but just more of it's just you enjoy that guy.
Yeah, I have one. Mine's AJ Brown. I got him in our 16-team league. Obviously, I'm a Titans fan, and it's the only league where I have him. And I love watching him play from both a fantasy and a real life perspective. So it'd be really, really near impossible to get him from me in that league.
And I've got the same guy, so I'll jump in now. That's my guy too in this dynasty league.
Yeah.
I was really sweating that. That's what I was going to have to give up to get a quarterback because I did not want to get it. I was thinking about it a little more in depth, and honestly, maybe Patrick Mahomes is the only guy that I could trade straight up for AJ Brown because he can turn anything into a touchdown. Nobody can tackle him. He's stiff arming everybody off of him. He catches everything. He's a fun one to have on your team.
That's why you get in a few leagues, Trevin, so you can have these players in just 1-year leagues, and you can get some of those players that you maybe can't in just 2 leagues. You can get them in these other leagues and diversify a little bit and be like, oh, well, at least I can cheer for that guy in this league that I have.
How about you, Brent?
You're way up there.
Yeah, I'm done. This is as many leagues as I'm getting in.
Uh-huh.
I think we're all fans of AJ Brown here. It sounds like it. I thought I owned a lot of shares of AJ Brown, and I was just thinking in my head that the 2 leagues that I don't own AJ Brown are you guys own him. So, but he's tradable. He's definitely tradable.
And you don't have him in our campus Canton that we just started up. Either.
Yeah, that's right. That's a new one. But
you think who's he tradable for? Any receiver? Would you trade him
for any receiver? I mean, straight up.
Because that's kind of the point of this question. It's not really rational or reasonable.
I don't think it has to be straight up though. Like it could just be they would have to grossly overpay probably, and even then you'd still think twice.
I don't think there's a receiver I'd go straight up to give away AJ Brown.
But what if it could be a package is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean straight up. Is there any receiver you'd trade straight up to give away AJ Brown?
I'm just saying, even if it were a package,
an
overpayment, I'd have to think twice about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's what I mean. The only straight up one would maybe be Mahomes, but other than that, it'd have to be a pretty crazy package to get AJ Brown from me.
Yeah, Brent, I'm guessing yours is Mahomes in our 16-team league.
I mean, it would be tough to get Mahomes, but I mean, I'm sure you can think of some package to get Mahomes. A guy that years ago he was on every single team of mine back in the day was Reggie Wayne, and I'm sure if you gave me some crazy ass offer or something to get Reggie Wayne, you probably could have got him, but I liked him way more than his value. So he's the guy that I probably would never trade anybody for. So Reggie Wayne, AJ Brown is close. I'm trying to think of a receiver. I mean, you can probably do Justin Jefferson and maybe throw in a draft pick in there to get AJ Brown from me, but it's tough. I like AJ Brown. We all do, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a cool guy too. Just
Arthur Juan.
It's fun to root for him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Juan. Let's do our beer check.
Cool. The AJ Brown podcast.
Forever. All right. Tonight for my beer, I got a Samuel Adams Lawn Chair Lager. First time having this one. You guys ever had it?
I haven't. Do you have a variety pack of Sam Adams?
Yeah, they had the variety pack for the summer on sale at Costco. That's a good one. Just a kind of a straight lager. I'll go 7.2.
So I've got a Kincaidor Herd Law Honey Wheat Ale. Pretty good. I'm not a big wheat beer guy. It's a good one though, but 6.8.
Nice.
So I went to the liquor store tonight. Thunderhead Brewing out of Kearney, Nebraska. they had a 12-pack where you can get like an assortment of all these brands, and I went to go pay for it, and the person working there like, "Ooh, have you ever tried their Thunder Punch?" Because it wasn't included in the 12-pack, but they sold 4-packs of it. So I said, "Screw it, I'll get a 4-pack of that too." So it's Thunder Punch. It's got some grape citrus to it. So I'm trying it for the first time right now. I probably won't like it, but we'll see.
Trevin, you've drank this on here before, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. Because I've had they just started canning it last year, I believe. Otherwise, you had to buy it in pitchers at the Thunderhead Brewing.
Is it Thunder Punch?
Yeah, it's Thunder Punch they sell it in pitchers there. They just started canning it. But for Josh's wedding, who's in our campus to Canton League, that's we stopped there on his party bus and got a bunch of pitchers of Thunder Punch. So that's when I had it for the first time.
It's actually not too bad. It doesn't really taste like the beers that I'm used to, but it's actually decent. I mean, I give it a 7.3.
Nice.
Solid beers this week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being part of the Fantasy Players Club, everybody. We'll have a new episode for you next week that'll live stream on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook on Tuesday night. Until then, on behalf of Brent Hud Hikus and Trevin Chucky Cremosta, this is Levi the Heartbreak Kid Valentine wishing you a great week.
See ya.
See ya.
All right. After show. You guys coming to Beer Olympics? Brent, you said you're going to wimp out?
I'll be wimping out this year.
Why?
We have too much crap going on. And you live all the way by Kansas City, man. That's a long way. Is it late July?
Like the day after the opening ceremony. It's like July 24th, I think.
My dad's got to have back surgery beginning of July when we get back from Montana, and he'll be staying with us for a couple weeks. So that's another reason why.
Okay.
But that does sound fun. Maybe if you do it again next year, I'd love to join.
You're going to drive down in February?
In February?
Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah. The Winter Olympics goes right away next year, huh?
Yep.
Oh, so you do this for every Olympics?
Right.
Oh, okay.
You catch on fast, Brent. Yeah, we usually do it the Saturday after the opening ceremony because the opening ceremony is always on Friday. So.
Okay. So it'll be a while till you guys do it again.
Well, just February.
Besides the next 2 times.
Yeah, 2 years.
We'll see what we're doing.
All right, mark your calendar. I think it's like the first weekend in February.
Okay.
The one before Valentine's Day. Trevin, are you coming?
Yeah, we were planning on it. I think
All
that's
right.
not on the calendar, but I think we're still planning on it. I did have a question for you, though, because when it was scheduled last year, I think you asked my cousin Blake if because he has actually asked me if you're now putting it on this year. So I kind of played dumb with him because I was going to make sure that invite was still available for him and his girlfriend, who you had invited before.
Absolutely.
Before I say anything to him. Okay,
I'll
let him know.
Word. I don't. Does he not have Facebook anymore? Because I was going to invite him, but
I think he does. I'll double check. Maybe he doesn't.
So, like, if Lacey and I did go, do we just have to pick a country or something? Is it just us two on a team or what?
So me and Shelly make the teams, and you and Lacey would be together. So, like, it's usually teams of 4 or 5, depending on how many people we have. And then it's usually, like, either 2 couples or, a couple and a couple single people or whatever. So we assign the teams to try to make it people, ideally, try to keep groups of people that know each other together, or sometimes we have to combine them. But then also for competitive balance reasons, like, some people are more competitive than others.
Because I'd probably be dominating everything that you do. So
yeah, naturally. So cool.
Is it like beer games, like beer pong type?
Yep,
Okay.
that's exactly what it is.
All right,
And
just checking to see if it's like a 100-meter dash or something.
there has been a relay in the past, but yeah, it's all beer themed.
Okay. I'll talk to Lacey about it.
Last time was Trevin's first time, so
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You guys do a lot of stuff for it. It's cool what you do.
thanks. We try to make it pretty awesome. All right, I invited Blake.
Nice.
Do you guys see for the actual Olympics, they're still debating whether or not they're actually going to be able to have it? Like, because the country of Japan, most of the people don't want them to have it.
Oh no, I didn't.
Really?
I think they're still in like a state of emergency, but it's only
Yes.
6 weeks out, and the IOC and the host city. So the agreements between the host city and the IOC, and the IOC has basically said we're having it no matter what. But if Japan wanted to, they could block it just by not allowing visas for all the athletes to come in or some of these other things. But that would be a huge hit, obviously, to the just a I don't know, bad look at this point to wait 6 weeks out and then do it. So it's kind of interesting. You should read up on it. There's just a lot of things going on. I think it was like, it sounds like it's getting a little more popular in Japan, but they've just had a slower vaccine rollout and stuff. And I think at one point it was like 75% of the people opposed having it based on one of the polls that they had quoted in this article that I saw. And now it sounds like it's maybe closer to 50-50.
Boy, it's really not popular with populations anymore. People are really turned on it in every country.
Yeah, because they lose so much money on it.
Yeah, they build these gigantic stadiums that just go rotten afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always just turns into a corruption thing to give money to certain people.
Yeah. I think China's hosting one of the upcoming ones. I don't remember if it's 2022 or what, but
I think it's the Winter Olympics.
yeah. It seems like for some countries it's just a show your pride in your country and show off rather than it actually making financial sense.
Yeah. It should, at some point, it's got to turn into just, it stays in one spot where you have all the buildings already built and everything.
Yeah, probably. It would make sense to have it in Greece. Isn't that where it started?
Yeah.
Originally.
But I don't know if they have the infrastructure.
Yeah. Well, they just had Athens not that long ago, right?
I think it was for 2000, but I think it was a pretty big disaster as far as infrastructure.
I do remember reading a book on how these cities lose so much money building these huge stadiums, and then they're not being used for anything right now. They just lost so much money from it. It's crazy. It was for a college class too.
Huh.
2004 was Athens.
Oh, that was Sydney 2000? 96 with Atlanta.
Yep, Sydney was 2000. Salt Lake was 2002.
Yeah, for winter.
Yeah, Beijing is 2022, and then Paris in 2024, and Italy 2026, and then Los Angeles 2028. Did you guys ever go to the Olympics?
I would. I enjoy it.
Oh, would we?
Yeah.
I'd definitely like to watch the track and field.
My parents went to the Atlanta one and got their video camera confiscated by the FBI because they might have accidentally filmed a suspect in that bombing.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool.
They weren't around the bombing or anything, because the bomb didn't actually go off. But I don't think they ended up being close to where it was. It's just that they thought they might have filmed something or something.
Did they get the back ever?
I don't remember. I was pretty young.
Be a dick move, and you could just copy the film and keep it back. All right. Well, that's all I had. Do you have any recommendations you want to go over, fellas?
Aren't they doing Olympics soon where they're doing a couple of countries? I think North America. I think it's like Mexico, U.S., and Canada or something. Or hang on.
I don't know if that's part of the Los Angeles one or not. I remember that some of those proposals were like that, though, Trevin, to your point. Or that could be the World Cup, too. I don't know if that's... It might be a World Cup you're thinking of.
It looks like it is just some proposals. It hasn't been settled that way yet.
Gotcha. They have some good locations coming up: Tokyo, Beijing, Paris, and Italy, and Los Angeles. Milan, Italy. All right. Any recommendations before we go?
Mayor of Easttown. Trevin talked about it a couple weeks ago.
I got Brent to watch it.
Awesome.
We started watching the first episode, but haven't got all the way through yet.
Highly recommend it.
I'll have to catch up, so maybe we can talk about it in a little more detail next time.
I won't spoil anything. It is. I like the setting of it, where it's like in a smaller town, where all three of us grew up in smaller towns, where they're all kind of related. They definitely all know each other and like know everything about themselves and about their neighbors and everything. And then they're all also kind of cousins, and like it's also intertwined. So I like that aspect of it, just growing up that way myself.
Yeah.
All right. Any other recommendations?
I haven't had any other good. Oh, the Bo Burnham special on Netflix is really cool. If it's kind of a comedy special. I don't know if any of you watched Bo Burnham when he was growing up on YouTube, like 17, doing dumb songs on YouTube, and he has a Netflix special that's kind of comedy, kind of songs. That it's really cool how he did. He filmed it all himself in just one room during COVID.
I've heard that's excellent. One of our Lithuanian listeners, because we're big in Lithuania, Ram retweeted about it. I think he's a big fan tonight. He said the guy he retweeted said, "Watch the special and wow, I'm in awe. This should have played at film festivals. It's a feature film made entirely by one man in one room, and it's brilliant."
It's really cool, and it also, I mean, during it, it's kind of sliding in between like the high production value stuff he's doing, and then also it'll kind of slide out into showing him making mistakes and like being on his 50th take or whatever, trying to get one shot down himself to put in the special. So it's really cool.
I'll have to check it out.
And I did watch a movie this past weekend. I heard that A Quiet Place 2 was doing really good in movie theaters this week, and I haven't seen A Quiet Place 1, and I watched that, the first one, and I thought it was really good, and I'm excited to watch the second one.
Yeah, I like that first one too. I haven't watched the second one yet.
Have you ever seen it, Levi?
I don't think so.
It's with Jim.
Office Jim.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is really good in Jack Ryan. I don't know if you guys have watched that on
I've never given it a chance.
Amazon Prime. I really enjoyed it. It was excellent. Give it a shot if you haven't.
It's his real life wife in Quiet Place, I believe.
Really?
I think so. Emily Blunt, I believe. Yeah, look at that. We got a lot of recommendations.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a little homework. Yeah.
Catch you over till next week. See you, everybody.
Bye.